Hey, Darcy.
So I'd like to thank the people still joining. I'm really excited you guys are here today. This is such a cool crew. Look at you guys. This is making me really happy. Thanks for joining today. We met on Monday. So this is our second little collab hangout meetup thing. And so what we're going to be doing is if you look in your chat section, there's a collab doc there for you. You can open that up and we'll be taking notes in there. And this is yours to keep after this. So go ahead and let yourself into that. Make sure that works for you. Should be able to edit in it also. And as we get started today, a couple of little technical things. If you're not speaking, if you could put your mic on mute, it just helps to keep control of any feedback or any echoing, that kind of thing. This hour is intended to be active. So please feel free at any point in time to offer ideas, ask questions, etc. This is meant to be an open format for us to share ideas, figure out how to get through these crazy times that are happening with us right now. So hopefully you'll get some joy out of it, some new ideas, some support. We talk a lot about making sure that we still are finding ways to connect with our kids, and that's the most important thing. And so how can we do that even through these virtual realities that we're facing? So what I'd like to do is take the first few minutes, and once again, if you're not speaking, because you please put your camera on, or your mic on mute, and that way we can all enjoy each other. Awesome. All right, so we'll just take a couple minutes. Not everyone has to introduce themselves. There's quite a lot of us here, but if there's some of you who would like to, I want to be able to take a few minutes and let those of you who are here just say something about yourself. Let us know where you teach, what you teach, maybe how long you're going to be online. I know at this point it's anywhere from 2 weeks to the rest of the school year. So let's kind of get an idea. Those of you who want to take a few minutes and introduce yourself and let us know where you're at. So whoever would like to start, just go ahead and unmute and share with us.
So I'm happy to start. This is Michelle. I teach in New Hampshire. We are closed, the whole state. The schools are closed from now until April 3rd. This week was designated as a week for teachers to get up and running on remote learning. So the students essentially had this week off. In our school, we spent the first 2 days with professional development aimed at helping people get up to speed on the Google Classroom platform, because we had some teachers who weren't really using it very much yet. And the last 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and tomorrow, we're free to go into the school if we want to continue planning. So my department has been going in pretty regularly. And one of the things that, ironically, we sort of really appreciated this week is that we felt like we've done more collaboration over this issue than we would normally do, because obviously we don't have kids, etc. So we've actually kind of enjoyed that. As I said, we're closed for 2 weeks, or until April 3rd, which I guess is about 2 weeks, but most of us are thinking it's going beyond that. Even though no one's really talking about that, that's really what we're all thinking. So today, kids, and tomorrow, kids are coming in to pick stuff up. We're having them clean their lockers out so the whole school can be disinfected. It was kind of a sad day, because it felt like maybe we're not going to see them again this semester. So we'll see.
Thank you for sharing. How many
You're welcome.
Are probably in a very, very similar boat. Also, I want to encourage.
Darcy, your mic is off.
Let's see.
There you go, guys. Now can you hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So once again, if you aren't talking, then mute your mic. And so we can hear each other. And then also on the chat section, if you look on the side right there, you can all share information and give each other notes and things there as well. So go ahead. If you go there once again, if you just came in, the Google Doc is there, so please click on that Google Doc. It's editable. You should be able to add comments to it, put in your own links, etc. Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Michelle. I'm guessing a lot of you are probably in a similar boat as anybody else who would like to maybe just introduce yourself, talk about what you teach, how long you're planning on being on at this point.
I can go. I don't know if you guys can see me or hear me, though.
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. My name is Nalan Taylor, and I'm in Louisiana. I've been teaching for the past 12 years, and it is at West St. John High School. And we actually got notification on Friday at the end of the school day that we would not return. The governor for Louisiana said that we wouldn't return until April 13, every school in Louisiana. So we are down for the count for about a month or so, and actually just had a conference call before I joined this one with our instructional leadership team to figure out how we wanted to proceed with the next steps. I've seen a lot of coworkers around the state and just nationally talk about their foreign language classrooms and what they're trying to do with different technology resources. A lot of people using Flipgrid, a lot of people trying to experiment with Microsoft Teams because we're a Microsoft district, and just really trying to figure out where to go from here. We are all using our own website. We have a school website for all of the teachers. So we just kind of determined whatever links that we find accessible for students, we'll just plug into our teacher websites to see if that works or not. But that's where we are pretty much for now. I feel like we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't want us to. And because we're already high in technology, I feel like everybody kind of has those things. But I've, of course, being myself available to anybody who wants any kind of training or just quick tutoring for our teaching staff, to be able to go in and do that. But that's pretty much where we are.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and I'm guessing a lot of people are in very, very similar situations. We have training platforms to use, we may not. But hopefully we can all come together today and share some ideas and ways to support each other. So once again, I think there is somebody who has their mic on. If you mute that, or somebody else can maybe mute them, that would be super helpful. But thank you guys. So if we go to the platform right now, the document, you can see that we have some things already started there. If you would like to add in your email address on there, feel free to stay in touch. But there are several platforms on there that people are already using. And so we have Google Classroom, we have Flipgrid, Zoom, Microsoft Teams. Is there any others that you guys know about that you're using right now or that you recommend to use or that you have used in the past that you think would be good for this? So go ahead, open sharing time right now. You can either add it directly to the document or we can add it for you. But what are some experiences you guys have had with which platforms you're using and how successful or not you've been with those? So I'd love to hear from you guys. I notice that people are putting down Ed Puzzle, Boom Cards. Could somebody tell me a little more about what Boom Cards are? Anyone know? No one has experience with Boom Cards? Okay, what about Zoom? Who's been using Zoom so far? How has Zoom worked for you guys?
I can say I haven't used Boom Cards because my school couldn't afford it, but what I wanted it for. It's like an app that you can use on iOS or Android, and it has it's kind of like flashcards, but you can like create accounts for students, and you can create your own Boom Cards, or you can like buy sets that are like pretty interactive. And it like can track what all the students are doing with them and like their success rate and all of that.
Cool, thank you for sharing. Is anyone using, we know you mentioned Zoom, and our last one we were talking about, people said that was one their district was going towards, and that was a good platform, just like Google Meet or Zoom, to be able to connect with kids and do things live synchronously at the same time. And so that could be a good option for you guys if you want to do that.
I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So I started using Zoom today with my students. I'm having, and our state has said that we will not be doing distance learning because there's no way to assure the equity. And so we can review and, quote unquote, mitigate learning loss, but not, quote unquote, cover new content. So, anyway, today was the first day. I spent most of my day yesterday calling students one by one to get them onto Zoom, and sort of walk them through the process. That took a long time, but then, once I got 7 or 8 kids today, on Zoom, and it's cool. On an educator account, you can do breakout rooms, and so I was literally able to do pairing and groupings right there in the Zoom cloud, and I could pull up an article and project the article and ask students to read a chunk of it, and then put them in groups and have them talk about it and generate some questions. And then I had a document that we were working off of, and I was charting their questions. So it was cumbersome today, but I can see how it would allow me to do OWL remotely.
That's so exciting. Thank you, Andy, for sharing. That's really awesome. And that's actually one of our categories on this document. You'll see I put down organic content, really, and or OWL. And the big question a lot of people are asking right now, especially with organic world language or with OWL, the main pieces are those pairings and groupings, the accountability, the transition, the movement, and really, of course, that student-generated and that student-driven content. And so how can we still do that online? And I think Andy really addressed that, is that you're still able to find these authentic resources, find your hook, dictate your threats and progressions and your question sequences out of that, right? So whether you have a novice classroom or an intermediate classroom, then you're still able to generate some of those prompts and questions. And using a Google Doc, or some kind of other document allows you to really track those and let you and the kids both see how learning is still happening. So that's really exciting. Thank you for that, Andy.
I've got a question about.
Go ahead.
I've got a question about the Zoom, because I've been using Google Meet, and Google Meet is good because I get to get all the kids on there and talk, but I can't see them all. And I certainly can't figure out how to group them. I'm in New Hampshire. I'm Susan, by the way. And we got thrown to the wolves. We were told Friday that we had school on Monday. Friday afternoon, we were told the kids didn't have school, and on Tuesday we would start remote learning. So we had one day of preparation. The kids are really, really grateful to hear us and see us. Mm-hmm. But today I tried to do to show them a little video clip. And it's something I have on a DVD, and I couldn't get it to play. They could see it, but they couldn't hear it. And I'm wondering if you can do that through Zoom, since Meet doesn't seem to meet that requirement. Anyone have any experience with that?
Yesterday, I projected a movie from Amazon. It was slow, a little choppy, and the language the sound had a little bit of feedback, but it was understandable.
Anyone else out there who's been using?
Very cool, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anyone else out there who's using platforms to show video, things like that, with their students?
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, this is Jody. Hi, Susan. I'm in Pennsylvania. We are going to be using the Zoom platform. We had a full faculty meeting on Monday using Zoom, and during the faculty meeting, all of our images were in a grid format, so you can see all of the students that way, and you can share your screen, and like Darcy mentioned, you can do breakout rooms, and it looks like it's going to be really good. I had a meeting with my advisees today, and I was able to share my screen with them and showed them different things that I had open on the computer. We did an audio of some tongue twisters. So it seems like it's going to work, and so recommended.
And I would say, too, that, thank you for sharing. That's so awesome to hear how you guys are using this and what the options are. Last time also there was a teacher who I believe he was using Google Meet. And what he did is he would have the whole group meet together to start with, and then have groups that would come in like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. So if you don't have access to Zoom, or if Google Meet is what you're being asked to use, then there's kind of ways around that where you can do 15 minutes with this group of kids, or 10 minutes with this group of kids, or 10 minutes with this group of kids. So you can kind of create your own pairings and groupings and own small groups. Just the timing would be a little bit different on that. So that was another.
I can say, we've been out for 2 weeks now, and right now we're out through the end of April. So we've been using Zoom. Some teachers have had a lot of success with it. One challenge with Zoom, and I don't know if maybe this is just a setting I have, you can see up to, I think, 16 at a time, but it includes you. So you might have multiple screens of students, so you wouldn't be able to actually see them all. But they can virtually raise their hand and answer a question. I have tried to work with some of the breakout rooms, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And when you're doing it live with students, it gets a little tricky. The other issue that we've been having is families who they're, for whatever reason, the access to internet is less than. So there will be laggy videos, or kids will fall off and then not be able to get back on. So one thing that we've been doing is doing little meetings in Zoom, but not planning to do a whole class. So saying, okay, here are your instructions, and then they'll go off, and then I've stayed in the Zoom classroom, and they come back and ask me questions too. So I don't know. I was really excited about Zoom, and then I tried it, and it's not been as successful for me just yet. But I know some other teachers have been having a lot more success.
Thank you for sharing. In the section called Tips for Remote Learning, I'm kind of putting some different things in there. And that's one thing that I heard last time as well, was this idea of, it could also go with the kind of the How to Owl section. But one strategy when doing this online is to offer some kind of a hook or a link or a video. So there's also a bunch of links out there, and they're also in this document. For example, of national park tours or museum tours, or different kind of virtual tours that you can take. And so then a lot of times people are doing those as a hook, and then offering prompts or questions and keeping them open-ended. Kids can do those, whether they write them or practice speaking them, and then come back together and talk about that or share them out. There's also one teacher who paired kids up and had them talk to each other and call each other or write each other and do the work together, and then come back and share with the group. So it's kind of getting creative in how you're matching your kids up, how you're keeping them in touch, how you're pairing and grouping them. If somebody else who's had any ideas or suggestions around how to keep the connection going, or how to keep the flow going with that. Anyone? Okay, cool.
I just started. Hi, I'm sorry, I just popped in late. So I started teaching today with my classes, and we mostly did our English pod discussion, where we kind of just hung out, see how everybody was feeling, but we did a test run for how it's going to feel in Spanish. And so we determined that it's okay to either talk or type in the chat bar on the side, and that counts. And then we would post things that pop up as quick writing prompts in the collaborative document, and it was really different, but I think that it felt pretty good today. And so I also assigned this choice board homework, and part of it is that they're going to be finding I don't know, things that they're interested in, infographics and maybe things around their house that have Spanish on them, and they're going to be uploading them into a Google form, and then I get to use those in class for them.
Tell us a little bit more about what kinds of things are on that board.
On the choice board?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I could show a sample, I think. Can I do that?
Yeah. No.
Okay. If I click this present button, does that present my screen?
Try it.
All right. I'm still learning this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey. Okay, so this is a sample. So this is my distance learning plan for my level 2s, so they know what's happening every day. And then when they click on this, they have like interpersonal communication. So they have to chat with somebody in some way. It can even just be like hanging out and playing video games. And then they have a little summary to write for me. And they'll upload this stuff. They can either like keep a running list on a Google Doc and then share it with me when the time period of practice is over, which is a little under a week, or they can like jot things down into the Google form. They have like a bunch of interpretive practice. They can just like watch Netflix or something if they want. And then they have like refining practice, because some of them want things like that, like pronunciation and stuff. And then they have like a research one. So I think this piece is what's going to give me the most like class content. So they just have to pick 2 options for this. So they're finding like a piece of art or an authentic resource of some piece, or a job listing, or just something around their house that has Spanish in it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, thank you. And I don't know if on her screen if you guys could actually see that or not, but hopefully hearing her talk through it and explain that was helpful. Just to get some different ideas around that. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys could see it. Okay. And then also if there's anything that you guys want to upload, any docs that you want to share, feel free to share those in the chat too. So anything that you guys are able to, we can do for each other right now is awesome. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing that. Is there any other ideas that you guys might have that you yourselves would want to add to a choice board? I know some of you guys have done a choice board type thing in the past. So if you can think of anything that you might want to add to that, go ahead and share a couple of things right now. I'd love to hear what else you guys are doing. I know, for example, when I did one, it was almost like a bingo board. It was called Se Motivado, which is like be motivated. I'm actually writing a blog right now where I'm putting some of these ideas in that. And it was definitely the same kind of thing where they could choose different things. And I think it also incorporated music. Like they could listen to songs. They could watch TV in the target language, ads, commercials, memes, listen to news newscastings, read news articles. There's so much that you can do. And one really neat thing that we talked about last time, that's really neat, is that this is actually a really good opportunity to start bringing in authentic resources. There's so much around the world right now happening, especially in your target language, that you can find, like I said, memes, videos, all kinds of things that kids can have access to talk about, whether it's just the coronavirus or things in general. You can go out from there and talk about other topics as well. But a lot of us, whether you're from a different country, if you lived in a different country, or you know people from a different country, we ourselves are a really good resource right now. I talked to a teacher yesterday who she's been contacting her family in Spain and, getting little video snippets from them. Like they're recording little things for her to share with her students. Or they're giving her information from what their news sources are saying. So using our own resources of people that we know from other countries and contacts that we have and experiences that we have is also a great way to bring things in for kids too. So right now, a really good thing is thinking about what authentic resources can we bring in and how. And once again, that takes us back to our spot of finding that hook, how we're creating threads and progressions and questions that come off of that, that we can hook kids in with that. Are there any other ideas right now that you guys have for authentic resources, or ways that you see that being brought into class right now that we're doing this all virtually?
I work with very young children, so I made like a very small choice board this week, and also because like this week is, I think, hectic for a lot of families. But yeah, I used a lot of authentic resources, and I didn't require a lot of output from them this week, because I think it's kind of a lot to ask, but it was fun to go look around for fun things.
Mm-hmm. That's neat. I'm glad that you're addressing the young kids thing and what we can do for the littles also. So there's some of you here who may be teaching littles, or can think of adaptations from your middle school or high school to littles. Is there anything that you would want to share around that? Specific strategies for our little ones?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know generally it's not okay like in an OWL classroom, we don't try to have students speak English, but for this week, I had them, I have 6-year-old students whose parents don't know the language at all, so like they can't even type really. So I have like a Google survey where, like, to prove that they did the thing, they like answer some questions about like, oh, what piece of art at this museum did you like, or like, why, I can't even remember right now. I'm a little tired. Or like having them watch, for French language cartoons on our local PBS station and be like, what, which one did you watch? Why did you like it? You know, try to get better over time.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. And I think too, like this right now is a really neat time to find what they're doing. So I'm going to, in the category of organic content and or OWL, if you guys wouldn't mind going there for a minute, and let's talk about what are some things right now that are going to feel really relevant to students. So if we could just start to brainstorm a little bit, some topics, obviously starting with the coronavirus and talking about the coronavirus, but how do we go from there? So it could be maybe the emotions of how they're feeling right now dealing with corona and what's happening. Maybe what do you do in a day now? So I know one of the questions that I wanted to offer last time was, what do you do that's something positive in the day? You know, because they're starting to kind of feel the stress and anxiety of this. They're seeing that it's longer than just 1 week now. That's going to be long term. So what does a day look like for you? We have some really unique opportunities right now. So even in the midst of all this chaos, you know, just staying positive and thinking, what are some ways that we can get to know kids in a different way or in a new way now? And there really are some neat opportunities. If they're in their homes, you know, we're going to see kind of what their day-to-day life is like. What kinds of things are you doing in a day? Are you able to go for a walk outside? Did you have to go for a bike ride? You know, what kinds of things are you're eating at home? Just different things like that. So what are some other things that you guys are topics or content that could come out at this time right now? So go ahead and feel free to actually write in the document or just share them out and I'll type them for you. If you want to put them in the chat on the side, you can also. But what do you guys think? What are some, I know another one that we did was, for example, like washing your hands is a big thing, right? And so that whole concept of like cleanliness and who does the chores in your house. You know, that could lead into something else too. Who does the cooking in your house? Now that you're not going out to eat, are you still ordering in or not? Are you keeping in touch with your friends and family? I'm wondering how many kids are FaceTiming each day or things like that. Yeah, TikTok videos. Oh, this is so good, guys. Thank you. Keep it coming. This is great. Oh, another thing, too, is that there's so many videos out there what other people in other countries are doing and countries who are ahead of us as far as the amount of time they've been spending in quarantine. So both Spain and Italy are having some great videos coming out. Even if that's not the target language, you can put things on mute or just show what people are doing and have them talk about. So that's a way to bring in authentic resources also. We're showing videos of what other countries are doing.
Maybe like how jobs have changed, how their jobs have changed, how their families' jobs have changed.
Yes. And if you didn't write that down, I'm writing it down too.
Thank you.
Yes, that's so good. I mean, that's a huge impact. I know in the service industry, where I am in Southern California, that everybody just got laid off. So all of the, you know, service workers, it's takeout only. So maybe this might be some of these kids that are doing these kinds of jobs, or maybe their family members or things like that. I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are in different stages as far as shelter in place, whether you're being allowed to leave or not allowed to leave, but you know what your restrictions are. I know in some areas there's already been shelter in place put in place. In other areas it's a little more open. So we're discussing what parts of the country are maybe in different phases of this. Oh, have you guys also seen, I'll try to find the link and put it in here. But also those, the pictures of the countries, how their pollution has gotten better now that they're all on quarantine. So that's an interesting thing too, is how is this affecting global climate and global change, which is a really interesting whole other phase of this. Have your jobs changed? Oh, this is so great, guys. This is so neat. I hope this is helpful for you guys to start to think about how to still keep this relevant and interesting for our students and how to keep pulling from them. One thing I do want to address also and think about is also with them being home, thinking about the element of equity and letting them address or enter into them sharing their homes as much as they feel comfortable with. So there might be some things there to address, especially with your feeling of community in the classroom.
Could you maybe elaborate more on that? Like, I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I share those concerns about, like, I'm waiting to get Flipgrid approval, and I'm hopeful that that will really help me out. But then I also, I teach at a school with, like, a really wide SES kind of distribution. And,
Keep going.
That's it.
Yeah, is there anybody, I have some things I could say about it, but is anybody else there? I'd like to open this up to the group. Is there anyone else out there who's dealt with this already, who has kind of approaches with students or has any advice on how to deal with this? Okay, I'll also go ahead and share what I heard from other teachers so far, is that it can be really difficult for kids if one kid is like, look at my house with, 15 rooms and 5 bathrooms, and, another kid lives in a trailer. And so trying to find ways to have kids talk about their home, but not necessarily have to feel uncomfortable or insecure with where their home is. So instead of maybe having them show the house, they could just talk about things they like about being in their house, or what the favorite room in their house is, or things like that. So it doesn't have to really be like a show and tell of their home, but more about these common questions that can bring them together, even in spite of the SES differences, if that's helpful at all. So finding ways to make kids still feel comfortable. And
I wonder about, it's a little bit like it's certainly a new format, new environment to be having class. And anytime that there's a big change like that, it's helpful to revisit the kinds of expectations or norms that we want to have for how we engage with each other. And so it might be worth having that as an early topic, and one that is revisited frequently, as like, what does it mean to have a virtual classroom, and how do we make a virtual classroom feel as safe as our physical classroom did?
I love you, my whole heart. Yeah, I know that's exactly it, right? We can still, one thing that I put on the blogs is that even though we're not in our classroom, it still is our classroom. And the work that we've done so far throughout the year to create community is still there. And so the fact that we're a little bit of an advantage is that we don't have to create community online, which is what a lot of online people have to do, but we already have that community. So building on that, keeping that, reminding them of what it is, going back to our norms, setting up new norms with this new classroom space, letting them know that it's really the same. It's still the same. This is still our classroom. This is our community. It's going to look a little different. It's going to sound a little different, but we're still all here in this together. And really showing them what that can look like, and building on the expectations that we already have. So that's really neat. Thank you for that. Whoops. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to that at all, who's dealt with that idea of setting up culture and community in these new virtual classrooms, or thoughts about what that could look like? I think it could even be that in a document, if you have, a document, like a Google Doc or something that you're keeping things in, that you're putting that in that doc, right? The same exact expectations. So in your target language, be that respect, 100% target language. A community that we're still participating in this together. And I know too that the main idea in a classroom is to have that immersive environment. And obviously with this new online and same expectations, there's going to have to be some things that are happening in the first language, whether it's like a check-in with them or a logistical explanation or something like that. But I think that even along with that, it's still important to realize that we still can do target language, and to still think about what can that look like, and how can we keep fostering these environments where target language is happening, even with that virtual space. So knowing that we might have those English pieces we'll have to do for the logistics and things like that. But how can we create that space? What can it look like to really still maintain that immersive environment? And so if anybody wants to speak to that at this point or throughout this session, feel free to share about that also. And I think one idea that I was sharing earlier was that idea of having some kind of a link or a hook, right? Something that's going to get the conversation started, and then those questions that are going to go from there. I know people right now putting in, the choice board with the links to like different levels of learning. So like your novice learners, your intermediate learners. This is awesome. Thank you guys. This is so, so, so beautiful. I love this. Thank you all for doing this. This is so good to come together and get ideas, and hoping that somebody else has something that then can kind of spark something for you. If you look at this one up here that Chris is putting in right now, he has some links to some different kinds of things for his choice board. So beautiful. Are there any other questions or challenges that you guys are facing right now that we could start to kind of troubleshoot? I know in our last group there were teachers who taught internationally and had students on different time zones. And so how do you teach in a classroom where your students are not meeting at the same time, and what can that look like? So I don't know if anyone's in that situation or not, but that was one topic that came up last time. Assessment was another one. A lot of teachers are not being asked to assess their students right now because it's such a different environment. But there still are ways to show kids their growth. So what are you doing to show kids your growth? So is there anyone who'd like to speak? I know it's still kind of new, so we're not at that point yet. That might come later. Is there anyone at this point who's has any ideas about that?
Darcy, I can talk about that. We're an independent school and 38% international. Many of them are in Asia, but we also have kids in Russia and Germany and Spain and all over the place. So we're using Zoom, and we're meant to record our classes. And so the kids who are within Eastern Daylight Time are supposed to be at class during their scheduled times. We have a new schedule that we're shifting to. The kids in vastly different time zones are supposed to watch the recordings, and then they can, send their teachers emails or flip grids or, something else to provide their output. And so we're going to see how it's going to work. We're going to start classes on Monday. We were supposed to start this past Tuesday, but it looks like we're going to be doing the Zoom platform for the rest of the year, because there's really no way for us to get those international kids back to school. So, do you have any questions about that?
Anyone? Cool. Thank you for sharing. What a lot of teachers were saying was having, posting in some kind of space what the task is, or that authentic resource, or a link, or a reading, or something like that. And the kids would either record their reactions and then share it with the group, or they would, do a writing and send that response in. The best platforms for that also where, kids can kind of post something somewhere and they get feedback on it. I think people mentioned was Edmodo. I'm not sure if there's other ones that you guys know of where, a kid could, for example, post a video or post, a writing or post a comment or something. I know some teachers mentioned that they were starting their own private little web pages for students to interact on, or they were starting their own private Facebook page where kids could interact and post things and share things there. Is there any other spaces that you guys are doing that in right now, or classes that are not meeting at the same time?
Sort of responding to your question, I guess like my current plan that I've decided, because I feel like being like you have to attend class at this time is a little problematic for parents who are trying to like work and maybe don't have enough technology to have everyone on something, is that I'm sort of like sending a Google Doc and being like, when are good times for class to happen? And then as part of my choice board, I guess part of that is because I work with young children, it's like, one of the things on the choice board will be like attend class either once or twice a week. And I'm just kind of like posting like interest groups, like, oh, at this time it's going to be like maybe kind of sports focused. At this time, like we'll be, I don't know, that's kind of the direction I'm leaning in, like being like, this is the hook at this time. If you can attend, come at this time, and you just have to do it a certain number of times.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. I haven't heard that one yet. Really neat. I love how creative you guys are getting with these new platforms and formats. And what I love about that is that it's still finding a way to make the content relevant for kids, and there's still that student choice piece in there, and and pulling on that student interest element also. So that's really cool. Any other ideas that you guys have around that?
Hi, Darcy.
Yeah. Hello.
I wanted to talk about the assessments because I was at the point of giving assessments for all of my classes just before we were told we had to stop. So I kind of poked around on the internet and I found some honor pledges that some of the colleges are using. And I've modified that slightly. And I'm asking the kids to copy and paste it into the document and type their name. And it has to be at the top of the document. And then, you know, you still take it with a grain of salt, but at least they're telling you that they're doing it honestly and sincerely. At least they can't copy off the kid next door, next to them from the desk.
Internet now. That kind of back to Andy's idea, I think, right? Of like setting up those expectations again, and students reinforcing that this is still our classroom, this is still the same space, it's just different, you know?
Well, the other thing I did was I started today to put my daily schedule on Google Classroom. So I set up a topic where every day's agenda is going to be posted. So the kids can always look, just like it was always on my board, these are the things we're going to cover. It gives them a little bit of sense of routine also. And that's one of the things I know that they need is routine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, when I guys too are using Google Classroom, that's when I know it's being used pretty commonly with a lot of schools is Google Classroom. I mean, that's a nice format for kids to check in, see the assignments, complete them. Yeah, I think as much as the kids can get some kind of consistency, you know, there's expectations. Ironically, right now, what I'm hearing from everybody is that the students are actually craving work. Woo! They're bored, right? And they're actually wanting stuff from us, and they're wanting to do things, which is kind of neat. So more things that we can give them. And as always with any, of course, we're language teachers, right? And so for us, it's all about the amount of exposure that kids can get. Because they're not getting that exposure in class, whether it's through the choice boards or through something else, right? How are we going to get them exposed to that language? This can actually be a really neat opportunity for them, whether it's movies or music, kind of some things we addressed before, readings, but getting them to as much exposure as possible to language is going to be really good for them. And any way we can get them to connect with each other, I think circling back around again to that idea of having the kids connect to each other. Maybe they have a different student a week that they work with, or maybe, you know, twice a week they have two different students that they talk with in the target language, and they have a task they do together, whether it's written or spoken. But how can we still parent group our kids and get them together? All right, any other ideas out there, things that you guys want to share about, whether it's the organic content? You guys have this incredible list of topics and questions and contents that is just amazing. And I'm just going to share a couple of those so you can see it. What are you looking forward to doing in the future? How do your pets feel with everyone at home? Comparing your home food to school food. Are you spending more time outside now? What are you doing while out? Dance parties in the streets in your neighborhood. I love it. How are you keeping fit? I actually have a friend group, and we're sending each other workout routines right now because we can't go to the gym. The climate change, show and tell in whatever capacity you feel is appropriate for your students. But that's a great thing too. You know, what's your favorite toy? Bring out one toy that you like. Or for older kids, you know, what's one thing in your room that you like, or any kind of show and tell that you can frame it around for the kids to be speaking and using the language. How has community changed? That's phenomenal. Is there any other questions, thoughts, concerns, challenges? Okay, I want to circle back around to that assessment piece right now then also. This is actually a really neat opportunity for us to focus on proficiency. And so our assessments at this point really are going to be a lot of formative assessments, and it comes back to those prompts and questions. So what kind of open-ended prompts are we giving kids? And any of the assessments that we offer can be the responses to them. So say we show up a picture of, you know, what it looks like in Italy right now, what it looks like in Spain right now. And it is so crazy to see these super famous places just empty. We were looking at a picture of, you know, New York last night, and empty, you know. And so have them describing those pictures or talking about that and talking about the world's response to this too. But those assessments now really can truly be proficiency because they're going to be open-ended and looking at what language the students are giving you about different things. Thank you for writing that down. So open-ended prompts is really what you're looking for at this time for assessments. And also I want to point out within the document that there is the general links there. And so you can see that there's virtual field trips, national parks, other virtual field trips, museum tours, links to things like instruments, the San Diego Zoo, Yellowstone National Park. There's a lot of links also to international tours. I know one of my friends was supposed to take her children to Death Valley, and they weren't able to go. And so she set up a tent in her living room, and they watched documentaries on Death Valley. Right? So some really neat opportunities for some, authentic experiences that kids can have even if they're still home. This is so cool to see what you guys are sharing on here. And thank you, Chris, for sharing once again those novice to intermediate prompts, because we do want to keep thinking about how we're addressing students at the language level that they're at. So if we have our novice students, we're asking some closed-ended questions, and then also starting to have some describe, possible compare questions with them. With our intermediate students, we're going to be asking a lot of compare, describe, opinion questions for them. And for our advanced students, we're going to be asking them to be telling us stories, narrating. What do you think this is going to feel like? A lot of our seniors, they're not going to be getting their school prom. They may not have their graduation. So kind of sharing about what they feel about those experiences and how they think this is going to be affecting the country. Okay, we have about 15 more minutes together. Is there any other questions at this point or challenges? I'm sure some of you are coming in with some really unique situations. Is there any questions you'd like to pose to the group? You guys got it all figured out. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so what we can do is just keep going through. I want to go back to the platforms. So we have on here Google Classroom, Flipgrid, the Microsoft Teams. Zoom seemed to be a really big, important one. Google Meet, Edpuzzle. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to Edpuzzle at all and tell us a little bit more about what Edpuzzle is? I know we had a lot of information from that one last time too.
I could. I love Edpuzzle. I don't know if you guys can see or hear this round. It is one of my favorites simply because you can use any video, and that's their motto, take any video that you want and make it into your own lesson. So I basically use Edpuzzle to do just that, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a video that I've created for myself. You can take it apart and embed your own type of questions in there, whether or not it's an open-ended question, a multiple choice question, just a prompt to get them thinking about something and not even to reply. So Edpuzzle for the win. You can even do voiceovers inside of it and have them listen to you narrate whatever story if you're deciding on doing a movie talk or a clip chat or something. And it's just great for them to get that interpretive side out. And later on, they can't record their own voices, but you can as a teacher. So I would say yes, especially for the interpretive side.
That is phenomenal. Thank you. That's funny to hear around using it, what it is. I heard was first introduced to this recently, and I got excited about it because of that video piece, right? And the fact that you can embed your own voice over it, you can pose questions, especially in this time, the kids really want to hear from us. So the most important that we can do right now is kids are feeling uncertain. This is all brand new for them. They're at home all day long. So I think that we can do to connect with them, to let them know that we're there, that we care, that we're here for them, that we love them, then that's awesome. And so I think this is kind of a neat way to be able to do that. And it's just a fun way. Kids love videos, right? Like someone mentioned the TikTok. And so finding ways to bring these videos in, having kids share about them and create prompts and questions off of that. It's really neat to see how possible it is to OWL online. This has been a really fun discovery to see that you're still doing the same thing. You're still creating community. You're still building community. You're still fostering it, maintaining it. And so the really awesome ways that we can do that. The other one on here that people had mentioned, we talked about the choice board in here. How are you guys using YouTube? Is there anyone right now that's using YouTube, and in what capacity, and how's that look for you? Not so much. So that'd be one thing I would encourage you is also YouTube can be a really good space because once again, it's videos. So going in there and just searching for something in your target language, that can be a really good hook, or it can be an assignment that you have that the kids go look for something to bring back to the group also. So remember that as we're doing this, just like with everything else, it doesn't have to be us reinventing the wheel like someone mentioned earlier, right? It's really that we want to provide these opportunities. So it could also be having kids going out, finding videos, finding resources, and bringing those back to the group as well, and or sharing those in the platforms that we're using together. And if you guys want to too, as you go through this, you can also share any links that you might have to YouTube channels or sources on there that you start to find as you do this.
I often use YouTube in class, like with the Dreaming Spanish and other things. Again, though, with so many kids from China, they have YouTube blocked. So I'm not sure if by sharing my Zoom screen, sharing a YouTube video within the Zoom screen if they're going to be able to see it. Tomorrow I want to try to find one of my Chinese students and test it, see if it's going to work.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Most of those kids are in quarantine in hotels all by themselves for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow, really?
Amy,
Yeah.
Amy, the other thing you could do, I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, the other thing you could do is try and adding it, the YouTube video to Edpuzzle. I don't know if they get Edpuzzle there, but that might be another option for you. Because any YouTube video can be added to Edpuzzle or searched through there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, it is really kind of cool to see there's so many different ways to do these things. We just have to get in there and get creative and start playing with them. And it's been amazing what you guys have come up with just in the span of a week here. So it's pretty awesome. Neat. Is there any other thing that you guys would want to share with the group? A really awesome resource that you found or a strategy or technique that you've discovered that you think would be helpful for someone else? This one, is somebody going to talk?
Yeah, I put it in the chat window. There's a Facebook group called, where the heck is Facebook? It's called Remote/Online CI Spanish Class Resources dash COVID-19 Response. And a lot of different people have been adding resources to that. And so definitely go there. A lot of people are adding. And there are things like Fluency Matters has opened up a free subscription to their books for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. Senor Woolley has opened up free subscriptions. So much is happening. Diego Ojeda is posting stories. There are tons of things, and a lot of it is mentioned on that Facebook group.
Yeah, there's so much out there. There's the hashtag COVID-19WL, so world language, right? And so there's a lot of ways that you can find resources that way. The one that we didn't mention is Seesaw. I don't think that got put into our document. So if you guys want to add, I'll add that into there right now too. Has anyone used Seesaw at all or seen what that's like with using that in classroom yet? Cool. So if that's when you guys run across, I just know I saw that in the chat, and that's one that also came up last time too. It can be used for feedback. I also saw Joanne just mention that talking to the department about brain breaks with classes, and so I love that piece there. I'm going to add that into the doc as well. Like, having kids move. So even if they're in their home, you don't have to take away that movement piece, right? So having them stand up, jump, move around, even all the vocabulary and the functional chunks, the language that you already have from class. Bringing those lists out again, letting kids see those lists, make the connections for them that we're keep doing the work that we're doing in class, right? And so having them act out those actions, act out that vocabulary, act out those words, so that there's still that continuity from that physical classroom to the online classroom. So I'll go ahead and go back and use that in, but just to remind each other that, we can still incorporate movement. We can still do those interactive pieces with the kids. So I really love that piece of that. That's really, really cool. Oh, you guys, there's so much good stuff in here. It's awesome. Thank you all for sharing. I know the question came up again about how to do classrooms where kids are not meeting at the same time. And I want to just circle back and address that one more time. Is there any other ideas that you guys have for these classes or ways that you've been doing that? Just give us one more chance to address that. I mentioned the Flipgrid, the Facebook pages, choice boards. And this doc is still going to be alive and living. So as you guys move through this, we can keep thinking about, you can come in if you try something and then come back in and add it again and see how it can be used. This is so cool. I love seeing the comments. I'm glad you're feeling inspired. Oh yeah, this one is so great. The movement piece as well. Basically doing a workout with the kiddos, right? So having it being with that, especially those elementary level, but really with any level in the target language, just doing a little workout with them, whether maybe you incorporate yoga before into class or something like that. So actually having kids, doing the movement pieces or running through a little workout with them. That's such a great idea. I love it. Oh yeah, this is a really cool thing that someone else is typing in the document right now, right? How greetings have changed. And so a lot of countries, they do the double kiss or even a handshake or whatever. And so how have greetings changed in the country, your target language? I know we've seen a lot of memes and things with the elbow greeting now instead, right? Wuhan kicks? What is Wuhan kicks? I've not actually heard that yet.
So it's amazing. It's when two people walk up to each other and instead of touching their bodies at all, they kick with their feet, so they touch the insides on both sides.
I love it.
It's wonderful.
That's so neat. You can have kids practicing that in class.
Right.
That's really fun. I love it. Oh, this is so good. Well, guys, I hope that this time has been really helpful for you guys. It's just, to me, it's been incredible to see, some of you have mentioned just how the whole entire world language community has come together, things that are being offered out there, different resources. Take advantage of what you guys can, and let's keep in touch. I know on our part, we're going to be putting out more blogs, more ideas. You go to our website and find those things. We have the OWL Facebook Collaborative. So that's a Facebook page called OWL Collaborative, and a lot of ideas are being shared in there. And keep supporting each other. Keep sharing ideas. Keep lifting each other up. We can do this together. We got this. This is a new adventure, a new whole area for us to try, and it's really neat to see how, regardless of whether you're together in the classroom or online, that connections are the same, and kids are craving connection. They want that love from us, and that we can still play, and how vital it is and how important it is to still start with laughing with them and end with laughing with them, and let them show that learning is still fun and that we can make this a fun experience. So let's still keep bringing in that joy piece and that play piece that is OWL and those student connections. As anybody like to share, we're about to finish up a takeaway that you have from today, or something that you're excited to try, or something you're grateful for this time together? Somebody.
I'm back. I love the idea of tapping into our friends from around the world. I taught online ESL in Spain for several years, and I'm Facebook friends with a lot of those students, and they're just doing puzzles or painting furniture, and they have plenty of time to come in and talk to my students if it's the right time of day. So that's an awesome idea. Thank you.
Yeah, isn't that neat? It's thinking about, we have this thing in OWL called the curriculum triangle, and it's student, teacher, and culture and community. And what are you bringing to the classroom, and what that culture piece and community piece that's coming into the classroom? There's so much happening internationally right now. It's actually bringing people together. And then what are the students bringing into it? So thinking of kind of those three dimensions and how we're bringing all of those pieces into it. So does anybody else have one more takeaway that we'd want to share today before we wrap up? Something new you learned or something you could use this week?
Thank you for community.
Say that one more time.
Thank you for community.
Isn't it neat? We're just so lucky to be able to have this kind of community that we have and share these ideas, and just everybody's being so gracious right now. It's amazing. So, I want to echo that, and just thank you guys for community. Thank you for being here today. I know you're all busy, and I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us. And I hope to see you again soon. We might be doing another one of these again, so kind of keep your eyes out. Our spring series does start next week, which is really exciting. So check that out. We'll be offering that at a reduced rate, so that people can access that. And then we also have another What is OWL online coming up that is free also. So lots of ways to access and get support from each other. But this will actually be shared. The audio recording of this will be shared, and we're going to be sharing the link of the Google Doc publicly also. Also, the Monday one meeting is also recorded and shared on YouTube, and we also have the document from Monday as well. So please access those things. Keep adding to them. It's just so good to see the people that are here today. You all just made my day. I feel so inspired and happy. And just keep spreading the love. Keep spreading the ideas and supporting each other. And thank you guys. It's just awesome to see you. And good luck this week. Hope to talk to you all soon. And just stay in this together. Love you all mucho. Have a great week this week. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Love you guys. It's so good. So much love. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.